Welcome again to Clown World. Good to have you back. I was asked recently by a Canadian what Christian nationalism had to do with him, as though Christian nationalism were a uniquely American thing. This is why, incidentally, my book on this subject is called Mere Christendom. Mere Christendom presupposes multiple nations acknowledging the lordship of Jesus Christ and then discussing what the relationship between those nations might be. We had this arrangement in the first Christendom where you had multiple nations and tribes and groups that confessed Christ, and they acknowledged that they were Christian over against the Muslims and so on. Canada was once a Christian nation and is now radically secular and should return to her Christian roots, just as America was once a Christian nation and needs to return to her Christian roots. Let's talk practical politics, however. As we are discussing this, the Canadians are coming up on an election in just a few days, and it's a choice between someone who's going to continue the policies of Trudeau and someone who is a common-sense conservative guy. And the common-sense conservative guy is sort of at odds with Donald Trump. And we've got a unique situation here, because one of the things that Donald Trump does is he says and does outrageous things in order to get what he wants. It's an art of the deal thing. He says we're going to turn Gaza into a resort, right? And that made a number of people in the Middle East go, and start doing things that they weren't willing to do before. He floated the idea of invading Panama and taking it back. His offer to buy Greenland, his agitating for Greenland. All of these things are sort of out there proposals that then help him negotiate back toward the middle, and the middle being the thing that he wants, right? Well, he did the same thing with Canada. Canada should become the 51st state. This is a little bit different than Panama or Gaza or Greenland, in that Canada is got this election coming up, and no self-respecting Canadian, including the conservative who threatens to undo all of Trudeau's bad policies, he can't go along with that. So I don't know how to pronounce his name. Poilievre. Anyway, it's a Canadian name. He'd be wonderful for Canada, but he has to put some distance between himself and Trump so that he doesn't have that wrapped around his neck in the election. Now, we should all hope that he wins the election, and we should pray for our Canadian friends that are going to be voting for him. That would be far better than what we currently have going on there now. But you have to expect and have to budget for a certain coolness between him and Donald Trump. It's just part of it. And then they can make friends again after the election.